Smoke curled in the broken sky as the ground trembled with every distant roar. War was not supposed to come to the old ruins of Calfaran, but the skyships came anyway. They brought fire, steel, and monsters that clawed through stone like paper. Tareen was the last human soldier left in the forward squad. The others had vanished into the jaws of something no one had been trained to face. His pulse thudded in his ears as he pressed against a jagged wall, weapon cracked, armor scorched, and breathing heavy. Across the field of shattered pillars and burning vines, something shimmered. A figure moved blue-skinned, white-haired, armored in dark crystalline metal that seemed to breathe with light. She wasn't human. She was one of them. An alien, but not like the beasts, not like the monsters. She was watching him. Not with hate, not with hunger, but something else: curiosity, maybe confusion. Her eyes were silver and sharp, and though she stood in the open, the monsters ignored her. Tareen ducked as a spike shot past his head and embedded in the wall behind him. The monster leapt through the smoke, its body massive, covered in black horns and acidic tendrils. It charged at the girl first, but she didn't flinch. The creature lunged, and that was when Tareen moved, not to run, not to hide, but to protect. He didn't know why. Maybe because she hadn't tried to kill him. Maybe because she looked lost in the middle of a battlefield. With a scream, Tareen ran forward and slammed the butt of his broken weapon into the beast's side. It turned. Its teeth glowed with poison. Tareen rolled under the tail and climbed the monster's back, stabbing with a shard of his armor again and again. The beast thrashed. The alien girl turned, eyes wide now. Tareen's arms bled, his muscles. Screamed, but he didn't let go. He tore at its neck with bare hands, grabbed a loose plate of bone, and twisted until something cracked beneath it. With a final roar, the monster collapsed. Its head hit the stone floor, and the firelight showed its body still twitching. Tareen rolled off, chest heaving, blood pouring from his arms. He lay there, next to the corpse of the creature that killed his entire squad. He was expecting to die next, but instead, he felt a cool hand on his cheek. The alien girl was beside him. She looked down at him, her expression unreadable. Her fingers brushed a wound on his brow. She didn't speak. For a long moment, there was only silence between them. Then she reached to her shoulder. Her armor hissed and folded back, revealing smooth blue skin marked with glowing patterns. She removed the rest, layer by layer, not in shame, not in fear, but in reverence. She knelt beside him in the ashes of war, her armor at her feet. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper, and in perfect English she said one thing: "You are not like the others. You fought for me, not against me. I will not forget this." Tareen woke with pain burning through his side. The monster's final strike had cracked 2 of his ribs and sliced deep into his back. He should have been dead. But soft light poured over him, and warmth spread through his chest like sunlight after a storm. The alien girl was still with him. She was kneeling beside a glowing orb that floated above her palm. The orb pulsed with green and blue light, releasing healing energy that stitched his wounds slowly but steadily. He tried to sit up, but she gently pressed a hand against his chest. Her touch was light, almost trembling. She shook her head without speaking, her long white hair falling across her glowing shoulders. Tareen stared at her, struggling to understand what was happening. She had removed her armor, shown herself vulnerable. And now she was saving him. She had no reason to. She owed him nothing. And yet she remained by his side. Finally she spoke. "You do not belong to the ones who hunt us," she said. "Your kind has brought death, but you fought the beast to protect me. You are not like them." Tareen blinked at her, barely able to respond. His voice was hoarse. "Who are you?" "I am Lyra," she replied. "Of the Kalsari, last of my line." He looked around. The ruins were silent now. No more monsters, no more gunfire. Just broken stone and still air. Where are we? Lyra turned her gaze toward the horizon, where black smoke still rose into the sky. This place was once a sanctuary. Until your armies came, they awakened the beasts from beneath. This is not your war, but you fight in it anyway. Tareen slowly sat up with her help, his hand still resting against his wound. I didn't come to destroy. I came to save lives. I didn't know we were waking monsters. Her eyes narrowed as if measuring his words. Then she stood, offering her hand. Then come. You must see the truth for yourself. He hesitated for a moment before taking her hand. It was cool to the touch, strong but graceful. She pulled him to his feet with ease, despite her slender frame. Her strength was not just physical, it was something deeper, ancient. As they moved deeper into the ruins, Tareen saw marks on the walls. Stories carved in glowing lines, alien text that moved and shimmered as he stared. Lyra brushed her fingers. Across one, these tell the story of the Kelseri, she said. We once lived in peace. But when your people came, they took from the land without asking. They did not see the seals. They did not listen to the warnings. What warnings? Tareen asked. Lyra pointed to a mural where a great beast rose from beneath the earth. Its eyes glowed red and its body was covered in chains. The first beast, the Devourer, it sleeps deep underground. The monster you fought was its child, a warning. And now others will wake. Tareen stared at the carving, feeling a cold chill crawl up his spine. How do we stop them? Lyra's voice turned somber. We don't. Not anymore, but we can survive. If we stand together. He looked at her. This alien woman who should have been his enemy. She had saved him, trusted him. And in her voice, he heard something more than fear. He heard hope. She stepped closer, her face just inches from his. You killed a monster with your hands. The others will fear you for that. They will hunt you. But I will guide you. If you walk with me, you walk against everything your people believe. Tareen clenched his fists. The choice was already made. He nodded once. Then lead the way, Lyra. I'm with you. The path ahead twisted through jagged rock and glowing vines that pulsed with alien life. Lyra moved gracefully, her bare feet silent against the broken stone. Tareen followed behind her, feeling the weight of each step as the ruins whispered. Around them, strange lights danced above their heads. Some looked like spirits, others like drones left behind by ancient machines. Tareen kept his hand near his sidearm, though he knew it was nearly useless now. The real danger was not in weapons, but in what was waking beneath their feet. Lyra stopped suddenly and knelt beside a collapsed statue. She brushed away the dust, revealing a carving of a figure with wings of crystal and hands stretched toward the sky. This is Sarai, the guardian of sleep, she said. She was worshipped for keeping the first beast locked beneath. Tareen studied the figure. It looked peaceful, powerful, and strangely human in its posture. And she failed, Lyra. Nodded, not because of her weakness, because your kind dug too deep and broke the chains. They moved on. The ruins shifted, becoming darker. The walls curved inward like a throat, and the air grew heavy. Tareen's breath turned shallow as they descended. The ground below them trembled every few steps. What is this place? He asked quietly. Lyra replied without turning. The Maw, it was built as a warning. No one was ever meant to enter it again. The silence was broken by a low growl that echoed off the stone. Tareen froze. Ahead, something stirred in the shadows. He gripped his weapon tightly, but Lyra raised a hand and stepped forward. From the darkness emerged a creature unlike the others. Smaller, leaner, its body shimmered with black scales and violet light. It stood on two legs, eyes narrow, watching Lyra with recognition. She lowered herself to one knee and pressed her forehead to the ground. Velinak, I seek passage. The beast growled again but did not attack. Instead, it circled. Her, sniffing the air, then turned to Turin with a hiss. Turin didn't flinch. He met the creature's eyes, letting it see the cuts on his arms, the dried blood, the scars he had earned. The beast paused, then lowered its head and backed away. Lyra rose slowly and took Turin's hand. You are marked by the kill. Even. They respect that. Come. We are close. They entered a chamber unlike any Turin had ever seen. A vast hall with a ceiling that shimmered like a night sky. In the center stood a massive stone seal, etched with glowing lines that pulsed with ancient energy. This is where the first beast sleeps, Lyra whispered. And this is where it will wake if we do not act. Turin stepped closer, staring at the seal. His heart pounded in his chest. Tell me how to stop it. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes glowing. To stop it, you must understand why. It wakes, it responds to rage, to destruction, to the scent of war. It is not evil. It is survival made flesh. Then we need to stop the war before it spreads here, Turin said. Yes, but we will not be believed, not by your leaders. Not by mine, unless we show them what sleeps below. A loud crack echoed through the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. Turin spun around, weapon raised. The seal had begun to pulse faster, as if sensing their presence. Lyra grabbed his arm. We must leave, now. We've stayed too long. As they turned to flee the ground beneath, the seal split, and a claw the size of a tree branch pushed through the crack. The first beast had stirred. They ran as the walls began to shake and ancient stone screamed in protest. Behind them, the roar of something older than time rose into the air like a storm breaking through the earth. Turin didn't look back. He only held tighter to Lyra's hand. The walls behind them crumbled as Turin and Lyra ran through the ancient tunnel. The sound of the first beast's cry still echoed in Turin's ears. It was not just a roar. It was grief, fury, hunger, and power all at once. They emerged into the dying light of day. The sky above was thick with smoke, and the land stretched wide with scars from war. Lyra paused and looked back at the ruins. Her lips moved in a silent prayer as the stones groaned beneath the weight of awakening. Turin bent over, catching his breath. How long before it rises? Not long, Lyra said. But it will not come in full strength yet. It will test the surface. It will send its children first. The hunt begins before the war. He nodded and looked toward the distant ridge where the human base once stood. If I can get to command, I might convince them. They need to see what we saw. They need to understand this isn't just about conquest. You won't make it alone, she said. Not with what now hunts the land. The moment you left the ruins with me, your life was marked. You crossed a line that others will not forgive. Turin straightened. Then let them come. I've already made my choice. They moved through broken forests and shallow streams, past crashed ships and shattered bones. The remains of battles were everywhere. Human and alien weapons lay rusted in the mud. Blood had long dried into the soil. As they passed a torn banner, Lyra reached out and pulled a crystal shard from the ground. She held it up and it began to glow faintly. A message stone. It carries memory. It may help your people understand. What does it say? Turin asked. She placed the stone against her chest and closed her eyes. A soft hum filled the air, and images projected above them. Flames, beasts rising from the deep. Alien cities falling, and in all of it the humans digging, unaware, unheeding. Turin watched the images fade. They'll call it a trick. A trap. I need more proof. Lyra's face turned grim. Then we must find the speaker. Who is the speaker? He asked. The last surviving elder of my people, she said. He holds the binding word. He can command the gate that seals the beast, but he is in hiding, deep within the broken forests. Turin's jaw tightened. Then we go there. We find him. We bring him to the humans. We stop this together. Night fell fast. The trees thickened, and strange lights flickered between branches. Creatures called from the shadows. Some sounded like voices, others like dying screams. But Lyra walked without fear, and Tareen stayed close. They reached a clearing where blue stones formed a circle around a shallow pool. Lyra knelt beside the water and whispered in her own language. The surface rippled and then rose into a pillar of light. An old figure stepped from the glow. His skin was deep violet, and his eyes were pure white. He carried a staff made of root and crystal. His voice boomed, though he did not raise it. You bring a human into sacred ground. Why? Lyra stood tall. Because he saved my life. Because he fought for me. Because he touched the seal and lived. The elder stared at Tareen. You killed the child of the first beast, with no weapon. With only will. Tareen didn't answer. He met the elder's gaze and said nothing. After a long moment, the elder nodded slowly. Then perhaps you are what the old song spoke of. Not a destroyer, but a breaker of fate. Lyra stepped forward. Will you come with us? Will you speak before the human command? The elder looked up at the stars, then back at her. I will come, but the journey will test you. And before the end, you will both be changed. Dawn painted the sky in red and silver as the three travelers began their journey back toward human territory. The elder walked slowly but with purpose, each step tapping the ground like a drumbeat of old memory. Tareen carried the message stone tucked safely beneath his vest. It pulsed against his chest, reminding him that time was slipping fast. Lyra moved ahead, her eyes scanning every shadow, every branch, every movement in the brush. They will come for us now, she said without turning. The children of the first beast are awake. They can sense the blood on your hands. Tareen gripped the handle of his damaged weapon. Let them try. I'll end them like I ended the last one. The elder smiled faintly. Pride burns bright, human. But it fades when the truth cuts deeper. They crossed through burned forests and past ancient stone faces half buried in the earth. The wind howled low through the trees. Lyra paused suddenly and raised her hand. The air grew silent. Even the wind stopped. Out of the mist stepped 5 figures, not human, not Kalsari. These creatures wore bone armor and had glowing red eyes. Their claws dripped black fluid, and they moved with a hunter's grace. The leader hissed. Give us the one who broke the seal. The first beast marks him for death. Tareen stepped forward, his eyes locked on theirs. You want me? Come take me. The monsters moved as one. Blades extended from their arms. But before they struck, the elder slammed his staff into the ground. Light burst from the stones beneath them. A ring of energy exploded outward, flinging the creature's back. Lyra leapt into motion. Her hands crackled with power as she struck one in the chest, sending it crashing into a tree. Tareen rolled to the side and grabbed a fallen blade from the dirt. It felt heavy, alive, as if drawn to him. He charged. The blade cut through the monster's shoulder, spraying black blood. Another lunged, but Tareen ducked under its swipe and drove the weapon into its back. It howled before collapsing. The elder chanted as he walked into the center of the fight. Each word shimmered in the air. The last 2 creatures backed away, sensing something ancient, something stronger than hunger or command. You will not take him, the elder said. This human walks the path of binding. He is under the shadow of the first light. The monsters screeched once more, then vanished into smoke. Lyra helped Tareen to his feet. He was bleeding again, but alive. You are not like other humans, she whispered. You move like a warrior born here, not on your warships. Tareen looked at his shaking hands. I just want to stop what's coming. They reached the edge of the human outpost at dusk. Fences of steel, guard towers, drones buzzing in the air. Tareen stepped forward with his hands raised. Lyra and the elder remained behind the trees. "Don't shoot, it's me. Sergeant Tareen Wells," he called. Spotlights hit him instantly. Soldiers barked orders. Within moments, he was surrounded, rifles aimed, commanders yelling into coms. One officer stepped forward, his face hard with disbelief. "You're supposed to be dead. What are you doing out here alone?" "I'm not alone," Tareen said. "And I have something you need to see." He pulled the message stone from his vest and held it up. The officers hesitated as it began to glow. Holograms appeared above it. The seal, the beast, the ruins, the ancient war. And Tareen standing before the dead monster. The silence that followed was heavy. Then one voice muttered, "What the hell is this?" "It's the truth," Tareen said. "And if we don't act, that thing under the ground won't stay buried. This isn't just about aliens. This is about extinction." Behind him, Lyra and the elder stepped into view. Soldiers raised their weapons again. But Tareen stood between them. "They're with me. You shoot them, you shoot me too." The commander hesitated, then lowered his rifle. Slowly the others followed. Lyra looked at Tareen with something that almost looked like pride. The elder stepped forward and placed a hand on Tareen's shoulder. "You've taken your first step into the binding. Now comes the choice that will decide whether the stars fall or rise." The council chamber inside the command base buzzed with tension. Tareen stood in the center beside Lyra and the elder. All around him were officers, scientists, and representatives from the highest human divisions. Their faces were lined with suspicion and disbelief. On the wall, the message stone projected the same scenes again. The broken seal, the first beast beneath the ruins. The Kalsari temples lost to time. The blood-covered battlefield where Tareen fought barehanded against a monster. "This is ancient superstition," one admiral said. "We don't base our decisions on ghost stories and alien myths." Tareen stepped forward. "Then let me make it simple. I killed one of its spawn with nothing but instinct. That was not luck. It was warning. That seal is cracking, and your war drills, your drills beneath their sacred lands, are what's tearing it open." Another commander scoffed. "And you expect us to believe you turned traitor to save an alien girl?" Tareen looked straight at him. "I didn't turn traitor, I turned human. The part we forgot in this war, the part that protects, the part that listens. She saved me when she could have left me to die. And I saved her because she was worth saving." Lyra raised her hand and spoke. "This is not about human or Kalsari anymore. The beast is ancient hunger. It will not stop at our dead. It will come for yours too. If you ignore the warnings, you will not live to regret it." The elder stepped forward. He held up a crystal and crushed it in his hand. Energy exploded in a soft pulse, filling the room with whispers in an alien language. Then silence fell. "I have broken my vow of silence. The last of the speakers has spoken. The gate is cracking. Only the bonded may enter the maw and seal it from within," the elder declared. Murmurs rippled through the council. One of the scientists leaned forward. "Bonded, what does that mean?" Lyra looked at Tareen, her voice dropped. "It means the one who took a life of the beast's children and the one who carries the blood of Kale. Sari must enter together. As one. Only then will the gate accept the binding words." Tareen's heart beat faster. "You mean us?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, you and I, we crossed blood. We crossed fate. The seal recognizes us now," one of the generals shouted. "This is madness. We don't even know what's beneath that seal. You'd risk 2 lives on nothing but stories." Tareen turned toward them. "Then send your whole army if you like. See what comes out. But if this is real, and I believe it is, then 2 lives. Maybe the only price worth paying to stop everything from burning." Silence held for a moment. Then the commander finally said, "You have clearance. We'll monitor you from the surface. But if we lose you down there, that's it. No rescue, no second chances. Taurine nodded. Understood. Before they left, the elder pressed his hand to Tarine's chest. If you fall, she falls. If she falls, the gate will never close. Only together does the path stay open. Tarine looked at Lyra. Her eyes were calm but fierce. You ready for this? I was born for it, she said. As they suited up, the sky darkened again. Not with night, but with clouds swirling above the ruins where it all began. The ground had begun to hum with deep vibrations. From the sky, the cracks in the earth looked like a wound trying to bleed. Tarine and Lyra stood at the edge of the maw. Soldiers watched from a distance. Drones hovered silently. The seal below flickered with wild energy. And at its center, the beast stirred again. They took one final breath together and stepped into the light. The light swallowed them whole as they passed through the maw. Their bodies became weightless, floating in silence as the stone chamber twisted into something ancient and alive. The air shimmered with memories, with voices of the dead, and with power that had not been touched for 1,000 years. Tarine felt the pressure build around his chest. His scars burned as if the beast itself could smell the blood he had spilled. Lyra reached for his hand without words. Her grip steadied him. Together, they walked forward into the heart of the seal. The chamber opened into a vast cathedral of crystal and bone. The first beast stood coiled around a glowing pit, its body enormous, its face hidden beneath layers of obsidian plates. But it felt them. Its eyes opened slowly, burning with red light. Lyra stepped forward and lifted her hand. The glowing patterns on her skin blazed bright. We come as the bonded. One from each blood, one by choice, not conquest. Let us speak the vow. The beast let out a low rumble that shook the ground. Tarine's knees nearly buckled, but he stood tall. He placed his hand over Lyra's, and the two of them spoke the words the elder had burned into their minds. By blood broken and bond made, we bind the maw. By pain shared and truth chosen, we seal the gate. The beast hissed and lunged forward, its breath washing over them like a storm. But the seal beneath their feet glowed with blinding light. Lines of ancient script burned into the stone. The ground cracked, but not from destruction. It cracked to close. The energy rushed upward, a wall of force that struck the beast and forced it backward. It roared, but its voice grew distant. Its body turned to smoke and shadow. One last claw reached toward them, but could not pass the circle. Tarine screamed as the light pierced through him. Every wound he had ever taken burned. Every moment of hate and fear in the war pressed against his soul. But Lyra's voice kept him grounded. She was singing. A low song, soft and ancient, filled with sorrow and hope. Then it was done. The light faded. The beast was gone. The seal was whole. They collapsed to their knees. The chamber dimmed, and the silence that followed was complete. But it was no longer the silence of death. It was peace. Tarine looked at Lyra. Her body trembled, but she smiled through the pain. It is finished. You did not run. You stood human. You stood for more than your kind. He managed to smile back. We stood together. They climbed from the maw hours later, under a sky now calm and bright. Soldiers surrounded them, weapons lowered. The elder waited, his eyes misty with pride. Lyra removed what remained of her armor and handed a shard of it to Tarine. A symbol of bond, of choice, not war, not blood. Tarine accepted it in silence. He turned to the commanders and simply sighed. It's sealed. We saved you. Now it's your turn to decide what you do with peace. Months passed. No more beasts rose. The Kalsari began to rebuild. The humans withdrew from the sacred grounds. The war faded not with a treaty, but with understanding, and sometimes, under the twin moons, Lyra stood beside Tarine, her hand resting in his as they watched the stars above. No longer enemies, no longer strangers. Just two souls who stopped. A god with nothing but trust. Together, they had rewritten fate.